guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Delaney. Thank you for watching. Today's video is going to be a what sold video. So as most of you know, I am a reseller. I want to preface this by saying I'm a part-time reseller. I have 3 different jobs, so this is part-time for me. But I figured I would share my sales from the last week. So we're looking at December 1st through December 8th. Today's December 8th. So I just went on to, I sell on 4 different platforms. I went on to each of them. I sell on eBay, Poshmark, Depop, and Mercari. Went on to each of them, pulled my sales, pulled how much I paid for them, and I figured I would share them. This is not a video to brag. This is more a video for educational purposes. Probably a lot of people that are watching are resellers too, or you're trying to get into reselling. So I really hope that this can be helpful. Maybe give you some examples of some brands to pick up, or some brands or items that are selling really well for me right now. As you guys know, we are in Q4 and it's Christmas time, so things are selling really well right now. So yeah, let's just get on into my sales. I will go platform by platform and kind of share that. I have a little note here, and I've got my phone with my sales screenshotted just so I don't miss anything. I also wanted to mention that this is my gross numbers, meaning I'm gonna tell you what they sold for and how much I made, but keep in mind fees still have to come out of that. And I will tell you how much I paid for it, just so you guys can get kind of an idea of how much I actually made netted on each item. Okay, also I'm gonna be looking at my phone because I've got my sales screenshotted. First up, we're gonna start with eBay. The first thing, and I will put the sales on the screen here so you guys can see kind of a picture example as well. The first thing, I sold a Bryn Walker velvet cardigan. This brand I've only found twice, and it's a really great brand. I found a pair of linen pants as well that sold. Both items have always sold really quickly for me, so I highly recommend this brand if you can find it. And it sold for $40. And I want to preface this also by saying some sellers offer free shipping and then they take that out of their cost, but I don't. All of my buyers pay for their own shipping, so that's just something for you to know. And I paid $5.16 for this, so pretty good profit. The next item is this vintage 90s Skidoo ear warmer. This is the perfect time to be listing knits, ear muffs, hats, all of that, gloves. And this 90s one was really cool. I paid oh wait, no, sorry. It sold for $18, and this was from my personal closet. So my husband loves vintage clothing, and he sometimes, if I thrift something, will pull it from my inventory, wear it for a while, and then I'll sell it later. So there is quite a few things, and when I was pulling all my sales, that were from his personal closet. So I did thrift them all, but yeah. You're also going to see a theme here with vintage items. I absolutely love selling vintage. I'm from a small town in Indiana, so I find a lot of vintage here, which is great because vintage sells super well for me. Next up is a vintage 90s zip-up jacket. This sold for $25. Vintage Nike is not selling the way that it used to. Obviously, there's some exceptions with different pieces, but it's definitely not selling for what it used to. Again, this was from my husband's personal closet, so there's that. Okay, next up, I paid $2 for this item. It is a vintage 90s Mcdonald's Batman shirt. So I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing this came in like a Happy Meal or a limited time thing. But what's really cool about this is I found and sold this shirt twice. I found this at the same store in my hometown on 2 different days, like months apart. So I'm guessing it was the same person that donated them. I'm not really sure, but thought that was cool. I found 2 of them and sold them both. This one sold for $100, and like I said, I only paid $2, so that is a really good profit for me. So in that week, I sold, not made, because there are fees and I didn't take out how much I paid, but gross, I made $183 on eBay that week. Now let's move on over to Poshmark. First up is this vintage 90s Marlboro Reversible Fleece jacket. I paid $2 for this and it sold for $20. I honestly thought that I would get more for it, but I guess it's more of like a collector's item, so it's got to be a really specific buyer. So only 20 bucks, but that's okay. I only paid $2. Next up is this new with tags Free People OG long sleeve top. That sold for $40 on Poshmark. Poshmark definitely did better for me than any of my other platforms this month, which you guys will see at the end here. And I paid $10.71 for this. So I did pay up for this. I ended up going to somebody's house that was a seller and they were getting rid of a lot of inventory. So I paid a big chunk for a big amount of inventory and it ended up being about $10 a piece, but that's okay because a lot of it was really good stuff and new with tags, and I still made a good profit on this, so I'm happy with that. Next up is this vintage 80s Nike color block sweatshirt. Again, like I said, Nike is not selling the way that it used to, which is kind of sad. This is a personal item as well. My husband wore this for a while. And this one sold for $25. Next item is this really cool vintage 90s Grandpa Sweatshirt. It just says Super Grandpa. I absolutely love picking up crew necks, vintage crew necks that have cool graphics or something kitsch like that, like Super Grandpa. I feel like those always sell really well and they make me really happy, so I love picking those up. That sold for $25 and I paid $4.49 for it, so pretty decent flip. Usually anything that makes me around $20+ I'm really happy with. Obviously I would like to make more on each item, but that's kind of my thought process when I'm picking things up in the thrift. Is this going to make me at least $20? And if so, I will definitely pick it up. I paid $2 for this vintage Nike or vintage denim jacket and it sold for $22. So again, not the biggest profit, but that is okay. Sometimes those smaller sales really just help all the small sales add up, so I'm happy with it. This next one is a great sale. We just moved recently and I made my husband go through all of his clothes, hence why a lot of this is personal items. And he had this Carhartt coat and I was like, please let me sell that for you, because usually Carhartt jackets sell really well. And when I looked this one up, it was, I don't know if it's the colorway or the fact that it is blanket lined, but this specific Carhartt coat sells really well. It's the J97 work coat, if you want to look that up. I sold this for $240, and again, this was personal. We did get this at Goodwill, I think a year or two ago, so we probably would have paid around $10 to $15 since our Goodwill marks coats up, just to give you kind of an idea. This is also an example of always look up your items before you're listing them. I know it's kind of obvious, but I almost listed this one too low until I looked it up and found out that it was a special, I don't know, special one, the J97. This next item my husband actually got for his birthday and they didn't fit, so I sold them for him. Perks of having a reseller wife, I can get him a little extra money back. These are the G4 slides. I sold them for $75, and again, those were a gift, so personal item. The last Poshmark sale, oh, and if you didn't know, or if you didn't see that on the screenshots, I did mark out the buyer. I don't know why, I just kind of felt like I should. And I realized that there's no dates on here, but you'll just have to take me on my word. This was just all from 1 week. I'm not trying to lie to you guys or anything like that, trying to be transparent. This next one actually took a little while to sell. I got this bundle of vintage Vera Bradley. It was 2 duffel bags, a big, a small, and then a, oh, what's it called? Like a garment bag. Not all vintage Vera Bradley sells the same, so I would definitely look it up before you buy it because some doesn't sell well. But this one was a set, so that's already a good sign, and it was some duffels, again a good sign. So I looked it up and it was a more rare retired set. So I sold this one for $108 and I paid $6. So that was a really good flip. And that is it for my Poshmark sales. So on Poshmark this week, again, this is the gross number. I made $555 and Poshmark was definitely the best one this week. Moving on to Depop. I like Depop, it's okay. I like selling vintage on there. Some weeks are better than others. It's definitely not a big breadwinner. I don't make a lot of money on there, but it's really easy to cross-list all my listings when I use Vendoo. That's what I use to cross-list, and it's linked down below if you want to check that out. But so it's really easy to list on there, so I keep doing it, and I do get sales, so it's still worth it for me to use the platform, but it's not like, I don't super recommend it. Anyways, one sale on Depop, it was $55. This vintage Nautica reversible fleece coat. Nautica is one of those brands that doesn't always sell super well, but something like this was a coat, it was reversible, and it is vintage, so that combo of things really helped. And plus, this was in my husband's personal closet, so I pretty much had to sell it anyways. That's it for Depop, and I made a total of $55 on Depop for the week. And lastly is Mercari. Mercari is one of those sites that I have more recently started listing on, and I really do like it. It is, again, hit or miss, but it does do a lot better than Depop. If I had to rank them, eBay and Poshmark are my two that kind of compete and are pretty even, and it's Mercari, and last is Depop. I do sell some on Facebook Marketplace as well with shipping, but I haven't been selling very much on there lately. Anyways, on to Mercari. The first sale is this vintage 90s North Face vest. I think this is so cool. My husband picked this up in Colorado, I think 2 years ago. He wore it for a bit and then I sold it for him. So this was, again, a personal item. I think we paid no more than $8 because I remember it was a half off day when he picked it up. Just an idea, but this sold for $50. The next item is a Free People striped pullover. I paid $4.49 for this. I didn't make very much money. I sold it for $19. Free People is another one of those brands that used to sell really well, and it doesn't anymore. Obviously, there are exceptions. There are certain items that have cult followings that sell really well, and things like coats and jackets, new with tags. Things like that obviously still sell well, but something like this, just a older sweater, isn't selling that great anymore. So I'm really picky about picking up Free People these days. This item was a personal item. My husband bought this on Depop about 2 years ago and ended up not wearing it because he didn't like how it fit. And you guys can learn from me. This was my mistake. This is a vintage 80s Spider-Man crew neck sweatshirt. So I sold it for $50, and it definitely was worth a lot more than that. And here's how I know. I listed it, and it sold on 2 different platforms within like 10 minutes of listing it. So that's usually a sign that you've listed something way too cheap. Things do sell sometimes that quickly, but in this case, I knew that I did something wrong, which I was confused about because I did look up comps. But yeah, and this sweatshirt was kind of destroyed. It had a lot of staining. It was from the 80s, so it's expected to kind of not be in the best condition. So that's why I listed it so cheap. But I think obviously the person that bought it is going to resell it, because I think it would sell for around $100 to $150 after looking into it. So there's a little lesson you guys can learn from my mistakes. Like I said earlier, always look up your items, which I did, but I think I just missed something on this one. All right, next up, these Lululemon leggings. These sold really quickly for me. The capri leggings don't always do the best, and these were a low rise, so I listed them only at $35 just because the capri and low rise don't usually sell that well. This was from that lot I was telling you guys about. I paid $10.71 for it, so I did pay up, but it was still worth it for me for all the stuff I got. More things on Mercari. I sold this vintage chunky knit farm sweater cardigan thing. I always love in the winter picking up unique vintage knit sweaters and cardigans. I really like to find the ones that are really unique. In this one, this example, it looked like a scene of a farm. It was really pretty, really well done. This one sold really quickly for me. It was a quick flip. I only paid $2 and I sold it for $50, which was awesome. Some of those vintage sweaters you really can charge anywhere from $40 to $60 depending on the material, if they're handmade, good condition, and their uniqueness. If you want to know more about that, I would just search on eBay vintage knit sweaters and look at what's sold, and you can kind of get a good idea from that. That's something that definitely gets looked over in thrift stores, so that's something you could be looking for. And the last item on Mercari was this vintage 90s Mickey Mouse shirt. Again, this was from my husband's closet and it sold for $30. Mercari, I ended up making for the week $234. When you add all that up, I made for the week on all 4 platforms. Again, this is the gross amount, so this doesn't take out the fees or what I paid for the item, but I did tell you what I paid so you can kind of get an idea. But on all 4 platforms for 1 week, I made $1,027, which I was really happy with. If I can duplicate that each week, that's easily around $4,100, and that is really great for me, especially part-time, just some extra money coming in. And this is what I'm super passionate about, so it's always great to turn your passions into an income. All right guys, that's it for this video. I really hope that was helpful. Please let me know down in the comments if you want to see more what sold videos, and if you want to see this more on the regular on my Instagram. I try every Monday to share my sales on my story, just so you guys can get an idea of what is selling for me, and hopefully that can help you guys out as well. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a great week. Bye guys.